Bayan Muna Chairman Neri Colmenares fears former President Rodrigo Duterte is a step nearer political asylum now that he's in Hong Kong. We have with us Attorney Colmenares with us now. Magandang gabi po sa inyo. Why do you fear that?
Well, he's there, and I know para sa akin, Duterte will not surrender to the ICC. He will fight it out, despite his bluster na, I'm ready to face the challenge.
The bravado that he's
Yes,
showing.
the bravado. So, and China is, of course, a friend to him. And because the ICC has no control over China, because China is not a state party, therefore, China may accede to his request to asylum if he will apply for asylum. Of course, he can always go back here, knowing that there is no case against him here in the Philippines, although that may change also because a criminal complaint has been filed against him by the CIDG previously.
But no warrant has been yet issued.
Well, if the DOJ will, of course, issue a resolution to file the case, once it's filed in court, of course, a warrant will be issued by the RTC once it's issued. So either way, there are already, the door is closing for Duterte, and he may, of course, entertain thoughts of an asylum. Of course, we don't know, as the spokesperson of Malacanang said, we don't know what he will do, but we're just saying that it's now open to him, especially since he's there in Hong Kong.
An asylum may take time. Can the Interpol come and swoop in with its warrant?
Without any approval from China, the Interpol cannot do anything because the Interpol has to, yes. For example, even in the Philippines, they would need the blessings of the president here. So either the president orders, there are two agencies that can do that. The DILG, which is, commands the police, and the DOJ, which commands the NBI, both of which can execute warrants. So they would always say that depends on the president. So if the president says arrest him, then they will be the one to execute the warrant together with the Interpol.
In another country, overseas, can they do that?
Oh, no. Here in the Philippines. Overseas, it will be the Interpol and the local police force. And we don't know if China will accede to any request. But under Rule 89 of the ICC may request China or whatever state.
Even if they're not signatories or members.
Rule 89 says any state. Of course, the state party, they're expected to cooperate. But the non-state parties is the discretion of the state party. So now, depends the fate of Duterte if it ever happens, if there is a warrant of arrest and there is a request in China, the fate of Duterte now rests on China's perception of what is in the best of its interest. If China thinks it's in the best of its interest to surrender Duterte, then he's gone.
What's your reading? Of course, we must mention that Attorney Colmenares represents 8 families, who were lost members in the drug war.
Yes, our counsel to the families of the victims, we filed the case in the ICC in 2018 for crimes against humanity against President Duterte. Well, what do I expect? Difficult. China always plays its card close to its chest, but in the end, it's always the national interest of China that if China thinks that the international community outrage and so on will not be good, will not be beneficial to its image or
like cuddling somebody who has killed
thousands. That will not sit well with China, especially since China is also being criticized for a similar action.
But it owes a debt of gratitude, would you say, to President Duterte?
It owes a debt of gratitude to Duterte because Duterte practically opened the West Philippine Sea to China way back in 2016. And China was able to form its bases.
And the stance of the present administration is different.
Yes.
So
China owes Duterte a lot. Yes. That's why we're very worried with China intervening in this election and in the next because it has a large interest at stake. The West Philippine Sea is at stake here. So it is not impossible for China to intervene in the election, if only to ensure candidates which will protect or defend China's interests win
Teka,
in this
naiba na
election.
tayo.
Yeah. Sorry about that. We're talking of China.
Yes.
About the warrant, though, you know, we heard about it
Yes.
Saturday. Rappler was the first one to publish it.
Yes.
I think the Manila Times published it. Malacanang was a bit mixed. You know, PCO Secretary J. Ruiz said, "Yeah, we heard." And then PCO press press
Yes,
officer
yes.
Claire Castro said na wala daw. And pina-check daw niya, so far wala.
Yes.
What do we know about this warrant, Attorney?
Well, the warrant under the Rome Statute, Article 58 and 59, it says that the prosecutor may request for a warrant during the investigation.
Even if it hasn't concluded
Yes,
its
yes.
investigation.
To assure the appearance of the person in the trial. Now, I think we expect, as counsel of the victims, we expect the investigation to end soon, or if it has
Hasn't
already
yet.
ended, because the evidence has already piled up. The last Quadcom hearings unearthed a lot of evidence there. And the testimony of Colonel Garma was really devastating for Duterte. It will really cripple his defense in the ICC. So we're hoping and thinking that it's finished now. And the next resort of the ICC or the prosecutor is to ask for that warrant. So we hope that if it is not true that the warrant has been issued today, we still hope that it will be issued very soon.
But what's the point kung nakatakas na?
Yes, well, that's the problem. That's why we pressed Malacanang for some time now. We're saying, why don't you file cases against him locally?
Oh, so
Because
why-
you cannot
so that
hold
you could
him.
have him in custody
Correct.
and deliver him.
Or at least he can, there's a whole departure order in the airport. Labas-masok siya ngayon eh. He can go in and out. That's why there's a fear of an asylum, because he can go out anytime.
Could
So-
this have been planned way ahead? I mean, this was a plan. If ever there would be a warrant in the offing, go to China.
I think the plans are there. I don't think Duterte's people will not plan for plan B or plan C here.
Attorney, is the ICC required to make the issuing of an arrest warrant public? Or is it something that is not
Yeah.
required to be made
Right.
public? And kasi may na-float din po na idea na baka summons lang daw po itong ini-issue, hindi pa arrest warrant.
Yes.
Is that a
Well,
possibility?
there's a confidentiality clause with
Yes.
regards to ICC. They're very confidential about the whole thing. Do they make warrants public? Yeah, Putin was a very public warrant when they issued the warrant against the Russian leader. So it depends on them. However, once the warrant is about to be executed, definitely it will be public. But maybe in the process, they will hold it in confidence. But they can also announce it in public. Not to, it
But
depends on them.
obviously there was some kind of leak.
I was thinking about that. It was kind of bizarre that there was a leak.
The timing.
Yes.
Unimpeachable source, supposedly.
I wouldn't put it past Duterte. He has still a lot of supporters. I'm sure there will be generals in the AFP or the PNP who are very loyal to him still. So yeah, that's why if he
But
asks
the
for
ICC,
political
paano
asylum
naman?
for persecution, we will contest that. He is not being persecuted here. He's a very powerful individual in the Philippines. He has a lot of supporters on the top officials. So yeah, but the leak could probably be explained with that, if it's true. And the warrant kasi could come from the ICC or from a local court, because there's been a complaint previously. It's pending in the DOJ. So if the DOJ decides to
How
file
long
the
has
case,
it been pending in the DOJ?
more than a month now. It's the sedition charges against him for calling on the people to overthrow, all these things. So yeah, I guess if it's a local warrant, if a case has already been filed in court.
Attorney, I wanted to ask, actually, you mentioned earlier, you asked Malacanang, of course, on behalf of the people you represent, bakit di na lang kayo mag-file ng kaso dito?
Correct.
What did they tell you?
Oh, no, well, they're silent during those things. They say,
They're
well,
also weighing the political repercussions.
that's the
of such a
problem,
move,
because
eh.
justice should not be weighed on political considerations or even electoral fortunes, right? Because it's justice. These families have been waiting since 2017, 2018. What? It's now 2025. Wala pang hustisya ang mga kaanak nila who were mercilessly killed like chickens during the time of Duterte, and with arrogance and bravado, So hindi naman fair that political consideration should.
Attorney, what do you make of the entourage that accompanied Mr. Duterte to Hong Kong? We heard that he was accompanied by at least 10 bodyguards, by a team of legal attorneys, his wife, the Vice President was there, Sal Panelo was there. I mean, and the timing of it, does the President frequently travel to meet OFWs lately? What do you make of all that?
I don't see him traveling often, especially, you know, just to meet OFWs. He probably did some campaigning here locally, but I don't see that often too. Yeah, this is very strange actually. That's why people begin to think the delegation is so large and why the need, you know. But we will find out. If ever Duterte returns, then we will find out. Or whatever he will do in Hong Kong itself. He hasn't returned as far as I know, despite the fact that the rally has been finished yesterday, I think, yeah.
May shopping pa siguro magaganap.
I hope not with people's money. Yeah.
Well, we wanted to ask you about other issues like the PhilHealth funds, but then we'll wait perhaps right before the oral arguments in Baguio.
Yeah, we're going to have oral arguments on April 29. We are going to have another oral arguments on the Maharlika Corporation, April 22. And we presume it's going to be in Baguio. Yeah, maybe sometime before those oral arguments we will do.
And quickly before we let you go, what do the families have to say about this development?
Well, when they heard it, they were very happy because they thought it's true. And we think, you know, we expected that warrant of arrest since last year. We were thinking the investigation has been going on. You know what? It's going on for so long. So, yeah.
Only for their hopes to be dashed.
For now, they're still hoping, hoping against hope that it's true. But either way, if I may be allowed to make a prediction, before the half of this year, if this is not true, before half of this year is over, I think there will be a warrant from the ICC, if my expectation. Because the fact of the evidence is so strong, the Garma testimony is so strong, and so on, I guess there's no other way but to issue the warrant.
Thank you very much, Attorney Neri Colmenares.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.